yeah, it's nice to have this store of value, and it's important to have the possibility to keep your money safe from the government, safe from the people who want to steal it from you, safe from inflation. Bitcoin, I always call it the freedom currency. That's even more important to me, that the government isn't able to control you like they are you use the regular money, or when the CBDCs are coming.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show today. I'm here with a very special guest, German MP Joana. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It was fantastic meeting you in Amsterdam. So I'm super glad we managed to organize this chat. I am super excited about this. And if you don't mind, can you tell us how have you got into Bitcoin? What was your journey like?
Thanks for the invitation. I'm really glad we're doing this as well. My Bitcoin journey started actually in 2013, when my brother told me about Bitcoin and said, hey, if you have any spare money you don't need, invest it in Bitcoin. You might lose everything, but it might be also a success. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to him. He's my little brother, so I didn't listen to him. And he bought Bitcoin, I didn't. And I lost track of Bitcoin. And then I rediscovered it watching YouTube videos about the Austrian School of Economics. Because I'm coming from the libertarian side of politics. I'm fighting for freedom in the German parliament. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos about the Austrian School of Economics. And suddenly there was a video connecting Bitcoin to this topic. And I knew we had a problem with our money printing system. I knew that printing money isn't the solution, but the problem we have in the world. But I didn't have the solution for it. And watching this video was like a light bulb going on in my head, and said, that's it. It comes with so many benefits. It's not only the solution against printing money and stealing money from the people, but it comes with individual freedom, with the possibility of claiming our sovereignty back as a normal citizen. And that's what it is. I was hooked. I couldn't push Bitcoin forward as long as I was a party member, because my party wasn't interested in Bitcoin at all at that time. And after I left my party and became an independent member of the parliament, my office and my colleagues and I were sitting together, and we were talking about it. What are we doing now? And we decided on why not pushing the things forward which we are really interested in, which are dear to our heart, which are very important. And Bitcoin is one of these topics. And that's why we started the initiative Bitcoin in the German Bundestag, to educate my fellow MPs about Bitcoin, because they have no idea what Bitcoin really is.
I love it so much. We definitely need more people like you. And, thank you for carrying the flag in Parliament. This is insane. And how does it feel to discuss Bitcoin with other MP? Because, as far as I know, I don't know in Europe specifically because I live in the UAE, but it feels like a little bit of an alien topic, right? Not many people have made their mind around it. So how does it feel?
Sometimes a little bit frustrating, to be honest, when you talk to politicians and to my colleagues who have a very strong opinion about Bitcoin without knowing anything about it. I really don't get the arrogance people talk about Bitcoin when they never looked into the topic. It's like it's killing the climate. It's used for terrorist financing. It's used for money laundering. That's all my colleagues talked about when it came to Bitcoin. And they never saw the positive effects of Bitcoin. They never saw, for example, how the third world countries, the developing countries, can use Bitcoin for their advantage. It's like from our privileged position, it's always the Western countries we're looking at. So it's a little bit frustrating, and it's politics isn't a sprint, it's always a marathon. It takes a lot of time. And we're seeing a little bit of progress now that we had a lot of events in the German Bundestag with a lot of Bitcoin experts. I invited to the Bundestag to speak about Bitcoin to my colleagues and to their employees. We see a little bit of change. We see some MPs more interested in Bitcoin. We see a party now taking Bitcoin into their what they want to push forward after the election. So we're seeing a little bit of progress, but still we have a lot of work to do in Germany.
I think it's also Europe. I was reading about a couple of months ago that the Italian MP Prime Minister wanted to tax, a higher amount on Bitcoin. Today, I think France said they wanted to tax unrealized gains. So I think the whole Europe is a bit confused, to be honest. The UK is coming up with MiCA, which is an extremely complicated way to regulate everything. So I don't know, maybe, hopefully, when Trump is going to take charge in January, they will change their mind. Also, the ETFs are now quite established. You have Larry Fink coming out and speaking about Bitcoin. You have many other. Michael Saylor is orange pilling half of the states. So
Yeah.
hopefully, maybe it will become much easier. And I have to ask, because I know you've been tweeting. I follow you regularly on Twitter. Thank you for pulling up so much content. Sometimes I have to translate because my German is not great, but it's worth the hassle because you post so many good things. And I remember you going crazy when this summer Germany sold 50,000 Bitcoin. I think the price was about $50,000. I mean, why do you think that happened?
Well, we have a law here in Germany. If the state or the police claims something from criminal activities, they have to sell it fast if there is the chance that it loses value fast. So if you, for example, seize a car now and you only sell it in 5 years, it will be less worth. It wasn't Germany, it was Saxony who claimed these bitcoins or got possession of Bitcoin. And they did that in January. They sold in summer. So they had 6 months' time to think about it, to change the law, to take Bitcoin out of this, or to say, look, Bitcoin doesn't even fill in all these, or Bitcoin doesn't match the descriptions of values. We have to sell fast. So there was a chance to change something about it. I wrote a letter to our chancellor. I wrote a letter to our finance minister. I wrote a letter to the minister of Saxony and told them to stop it as soon as we saw it, that they are moving the Bitcoin to different wallets. And they didn't even reply. So they really made a huge mistake, because if they would have sold near the all-time high we had now, they would have 2 billion euros more. So it's crazy what happened here. But that's what happens when the information, they lack information, they lack education about things. And that's why we're pushing that forward and tell the people you have to talk to politicians. That sometimes is for me also very frustrating when I talk to Bitcoiners and they tell me I'm not interested in politics. I don't follow politics. I don't even vote. It's like, if you want to be heard, if you want to have a politics which is pro Bitcoin, you have to talk to your politicians, because the only thing they want to do is get reelected. So tell them, if you want to have my vote, I have some topics I'm interested in, and Bitcoin is one of them. And that's the way to do it. And I have a lot of Bitcoiners, because we have a huge Bitcoin community in Germany, a very active Bitcoin community. And I have a lot of Bitcoiners now making appointments with their MPs, going to their offices and tell them, hey, what do you think about Bitcoin? And if the MP says, I have no idea what Bitcoin is, or I didn't look into it, they say, no problem, I'm coming back in 4 weeks. So they're building up some kind of pressure that the politicians are forced to look into this topic. And now with Trump, like you said, being elected, and all the plans he has for Bitcoin, I think Europe has to wake up, and I think Europe will wake up. And you're right, Italy thinks about, I think, a tax for 42% on cryptocurrencies. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. But it's like always, Europe is always far behind the States. And especially Germany takes a lot of time to catch up with things. So if the United States goes forward now, it will take a couple of years until Europe follows. And then, of course, it's like always, we'll be behind. Yeah, that's the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, there is so many things I would like to unpack here because you said so many good stuff. You mentioned, of course, Trump taking charge in January. So I'm sure you're well aware of what they want to do, what they plan to do. They plan to buy 1 million Bitcoin in 5 years as a strategic reserve asset. And by the way, today I've seen the US Bitcoin moved into a different address. I don't know if that's Biden's last attempt to sell before
Yeah.
Trump picks it up. I'm not sure what's going on, but there is a bit of fad flying around saying, oh no, they are moving again the Bitcoin, they want to sell them. It doesn't actually matter, I don't think, because if anything, they'll buy back again. But how do you feel about this 1 million Bitcoin in 5 years? Because if they do indeed start purchasing, are we going to see countries and nations FOMOing into it?
Yeah, of course. That's we will get FOMO if the United States starts it, and they see the price going up, and they really start to look into it. They will realize that we are far behind, and we have to catch up. And that's when they are going to start to buy Bitcoin as well. And it will be more expensive for us in the European Union, because we will miss the opportunity to be the first to do it. And if Trump really follows through with all the promises he's making, the United States will have a huge advantage against all the other countries. Just think about if Trump realizes that he can pay off the US debt by buying Bitcoin. It will change the world, to be honest. I mean, yeah, politicians have to wake up. I don't think, to be honest, that Trump really gets Bitcoin with all the things he said, talking about cryptocurrency and everything, but he has very, very good people in his team. And I met some of the guys who are working with Trump, really great Bitcoiners, and I am very confident that they will push him in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. I also have mixed feeling about it. I was in Nashville when he came. It was so weird because, I think a few weeks before, maybe a month before, there was the shooting, and I was like, okay, maybe he's not going to make it. There was a lot of FOMO into the conference as well, and then he showed up in Nashville, which was incredible. And they closed all the doors, and there was like 50,000 people, I think, inside listening to what he
Wow.
was saying, and the whole speech was made by someone who I don't think understands entirely Bitcoin, but it was more like, and it's fair enough. There is 50 million users in crypto in the US, so that's votes you want to take, right? The first thing he said is, I will fire Gary Gensler, and the entire room went, ah, everyone was chanting because Gary
Mm.
Gensler has been extremely against crypto since day one, and he was appointed by Biden. So I think it makes sense. All the cabinets, all the people around him are going to change. There's going to be a pro crypto kind of a situation happening. So I cannot not see the bullishness. And like you said, even if he doesn't understand entirely Bitcoin specifically and or crypto, he will be surrounded by people. They
Yeah,
get it. So
yeah.
overall, I'm super bullish. And do you think it's possible to use Bitcoin as an asset to pay I think it's $35 trillion they have now in debt and or fight inflation? What's your view here?
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about it, that it will be possible, and that it will have a huge impact on the whole world if the United States realizes that, and also a huge impact on the Bitcoin price if that's the case. And with the ETF, it's like, I know there are Bitcoiners who see that really critical. It's not what Bitcoin is for. It's not the way you should buy Bitcoin. But if we want to have a mass adoption, if you want to have a lot of people using it, I think this was a good thing happening with the ETF. That's the things which happen in the financial market. It's always the same. You can't stop it. Why should you fight it? And I think more people look now into Bitcoin because of the ETF, and that's positive for Bitcoin. It's positive for the adoption of Bitcoin. So I don't see it that critical, how like many other Bitcoiners do it.
I agree. I'm actually super pro ETF because I think as long as there is the option, as long as people can choose to self custody and or empower someone else to do so, I think it's fine. My issue will be when or if someone says you cannot self custody the asset. Okay, then
Yeah,
I will have a problem with. But as long as they let me choose, many people I even know in my network, they don't even want to have the responsibility to have the keys in their hands. And
yeah.
there are situations where maybe you have pension funds or corporations. I mean, it's not going to work with a Trezor and 12 to 20
Eh,
secret words. So
Yeah, exactly. And for some people, it's still too complicated to buy Bitcoin themselves. And so if they have an easy way to do it, why not? Let them do it. It's like, let them participate it.
exactly. And like you said, if we do want this asset to gain more adoption, well, then the ETF is a must, because if you look back into any other assets like gold and anything else, they have an ETF. Overall, I think it's bullish, and it's going to allow companies like MicroStrategy to offer new products in the market that
Mm.
it wouldn't be possible otherwise. So how do you feel about anything else? Like, do you invest into gold, into the S&P, or Bitcoin is your main source of investment?
Well, I worked in the financial business before I came into the parliament. And so I'm still investing into some stocks, to be honest. I know that a lot of Bitcoiners always say, why are you doing it? Because it's fun for me. It's fun for me to just look into certain companies and see if how they're performing. So I still have a lot of stocks. I don't have any other cryptocurrency now except for Bitcoin. Um, I sold everything. I went to my through my Bitcoin phase as well, to be honest, as
I love
a
this.
lot of people, a lot of people did. So I sold them now, and I only have Bitcoin. And now I actually don't have gold. I never bought gold. I don't know why. I never was interested in it. It's Bitcoin and stocks.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about altcoins, but you anticipated my question. I mean, now, I mean, Ethereum has an ETF. Do you see like an interest maybe coming in?
I had Ethereum and I sold them. So, yeah, I think there will be interest if the ETF is there. But and I had Samson Mo with me invited in the German Bundestag to talk about Bitcoin, and he was asked the question if he sees any other cryptocurrency being as successful as Bitcoin, and he was very strict and said no. There is a clip of it on the internet and on X, and it's hilarious to see his face and the reaction of the whole audience. It's like I agree with him. I'm really a Bitcoin only person in my whole office is one of my employees, Stefan Schmidt, who's working hard on the initiative Bitcoin in the German Bundestag, is an absolute Bitcoin maximalist. He is really toxic yes, when it comes to Bitcoin. It's funny actually.
To be honest with you, I'm also, I mean, I'm a Bitcoiner. Majority of my portfolio is Bitcoin, but I have a portion, a percentage that I use to speculate further on other things
Mm.
because I don't think we will only see a world where Bitcoin is the only asset. There's going to be many others popping in, popping out. Others are going to come and go. Others are going to be maybe more established. They solve different problems. I don't even think they compete one another, but I don't think I can see a universe without, other projects in the crypto space. But of course, if you want to invest from a government perspective, if you want to store wealth, and if you want to protect your money, there is nothing else. I agree. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
feel comfortable in saying to anyone, hey, buy Ethereum and in 20 years you'll be fine. No.
Mm. Yeah,
But
exactly. Exactly the point. And that's when people ask me, is it too late to buy Bitcoin? I always say no. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, like me in 2013, would we have been clever to buy then? But I bought later, and I'm still pretty happy with it. So buy now, and you will be pretty happy in a couple of years. I can't say that about any other cryptocurrency, and I can't say that about certain stocks I have. I mean, I can tell you now when I'm thinking about how the companies will perform in 2 or 3 years. I can't tell you if they're still there in 10 years. So
yeah, I agree. Same page. I do like gold. I had a position in London when I was living in the UK, but then moving to Dubai was a bit tricky because I couldn't just go to the airport with 2 bags of gold and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to Dubai, Abibi." They would have confiscated everything, right? So I had to liquidate my
sure.
position, and I bought Bitcoin instead. So overall, happy days. But I actually like the metal, like as a vibrational element to keep in my, I don't know, in my home. Dubai is relatively safe. I was talking to my
Mm.
wife a couple of weeks ago, and I said, imagine the ultimate flex will be to have a door stopper, which is a kilo of gold. That would be the
Yeah, my,
ultimate.
my my brother lived in Dubai for I think 7 years, and it was fascinating to see that he didn't even lock his door when he left his home because Dubai is so safe compared to Germany, which is so unsafe. So yeah, you can have gold there. I don't think you should use gold as a door stopper in Germany because it will be gone in within seconds.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes when you hide the things in plain view, maybe thief, they think it's fake, I don't know. It's definitely not
True.
worth the risk. I agree.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the market? Do you follow the 4-year cycles at all? What's your play? Do you use some of the Bitcoins and sell it when we go higher, or how do you play the
No,
market?
no. I'm always like when I started buying stocks in the first place, I was like, I'm going to buy and then just leave them for at least 10 years. And then I'm looking into it and see, is it working? Is it not working? I mean, not the complicated stocks or the little companies, but the big companies. And that's the same what I do with Bitcoin. I buy and I leave it. I keep it. I hodl. I don't sell it. What I do is, of course, when I go to conferences or I do some online shopping where you can buy things with satoshis, I do that. I don't think that you shouldn't spend it at all if you want people to be interested in Bitcoin, and you need to spend it. You need to show them possibilities how you can use it, except just keep it and hope that the price goes up. That's one point of Bitcoin, seeing wealth storage. but all the other positive effects of Bitcoin, you need to use it. And the easiest way to orange pill the people is to install them the wallet on their mobile phone and send them some satoshis to show them how easy it is. And so yes, I spend, of course, satoshis, but most of my Bitcoin I just keep.
I agree. Also, I was talking to Adam back in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, when we were there for the Bitcoin conference. And we had a nice exchange. And I said to him, well, I feel like it's a karma thing, right? So since Bitcoin is limited, we only have 21 million. And by the way, it's way less because some have lost and some have not mined yet. And some will never be sold. Like, for example, I would never sell a portion of it as much as many other people. So it's difficult to say how many we have in circulation. These days, some people are saying 16 million. I don't know. It's impossible to pinpoint. But since this is the most scarce asset we have, when you give it back, someone can purchase it. So you are allowing someone else to free themselves or to start collecting if they want to. So I think it's good for your karma. So me like you, I live I'm into the full Bitcoin standard. I have very small amount of fiat, like super small amount that I manage every 3 to 6 months. Everything else I have is basically Bitcoin with a small percentage of casino money that I can use to gamble on whatever Ethereum or Chainlink or those projects. I think they might do something, but it's very calculated. And if they go to nothing, halas, happy days. I'm having fun. It's like when I go to Vegas with $100 in my pocket. Who cares if I lose everything? I'm having fun, right? But when it comes to money and storing my wealth, there is no second best. How is your approach into the market? Because we were discussing it off camera, and are you expecting, do you have numbers in mind? Do you care at all? Is one Bitcoin equal one Bitcoin? Or are you expecting 500,000 or 30 millions in 2030? What's your view?
I wish I know. I have no idea, to be honest. And it's not that interesting to me how high Bitcoin will go. Because, as I said, yeah, it's nice to have the store of value. And it's important to have the possibility to keep your money safe from the government, safe from the people who want to steal it from you, safe from inflation. Um, but I think having Bitcoin, I always call it the freedom currency. That's even more important to me, that the government isn't able to control you like they are you use the regular money, or when the CBDCs are coming and the total control is coming. So the numbers are not that important to me. I mean, it would be nice if Bitcoin will be a couple of millions in a couple of years. I wouldn't say no to that, but it's not that important to me that I always follow what other people are saying. And I was looking forward to the 100,000, to be honest, because all the excitement on X and everybody was into it, and when is it going to happen, and all the live streams. That was a lot of fun. But we will see. We will see where Bitcoin will go. I'm bullish. I'm super bullish, of course, but I have no idea what numbers it will reach.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I was actually, to be completely honest, I was expecting 100,000 the cycle before. For me, it was a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, 100,000 is going to happen. And then for some reason, we stopped a little bit before. And now we are kind of going back into it, even though I don't feel like retail is involved at all. I mean, I've seen a couple of articles saying, oh, Bitcoin 99,800 and something, I think we got at the maximum so far. But I'm expecting definitely for next year a beautiful 12 months ahead. I mean, if the cycles are repeating, maybe they will rhyme, not necessarily the same. We should end in October again, and then the bear market begins. But I don't even know if this time is going to be, I know that people like to say this time is different, but the ETF are going to, I think, fundamentally change how this asset is going to behave, because yes, there is diminishing returns, right? So Bitcoin is going up slower because there is more money needed to pump the price into the market cap. But I think we will see potentially like a different play. And of course, everyone can draw lines on charts and call 250,000, 500,000. What I like to think about is in terms of market cap. Like gold, for example, now is hovering around 18 trillion, and Bitcoin is about 2 trillion, even or take depending on when the video is going to air. But do you think we can get to maybe half of gold market cap in the next 5 years? Because that will take us to $500,000 per Bitcoin.
I don't know if it's possible within the next 5 years, but I'm pretty sure it will be possible and it will happen. I don't see anything what is speaking against it. So yeah, I'm super exciting for the next couple of years. It's not only the ETF. It's like we talked before. It's the United States. It's what they are doing, and that's, I think, why we can't predict what will happen to Bitcoin if they really follow through with everything they promised. No, what's the name of the
Cynthia
senator?
Lummis.
Cynthia
Cynthia
Lummis,
Lummis.
genau. She's very, very pushy when it comes to the Bitcoin reserve, and if they listen to her and to all the other politicians, then it might be faster than we all think with the development of Bitcoin, where it's going. So I'm pretty excited to watch all of this, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the Americans are doing the right thing. I talked to them during the conferences. I said, "It's on you. Yeah, if you want to do something, it's on you now. It's America first. Do something now."
Yeah, well said. I mean, besides your wonderful contribution, like you mentioned in the beginning, and talk about the issues and all these things, what do you think we need next to make more people in Parliament, specifically getting orange pilled and be more interested in Bitcoin? Books to be printed, more educational content. What do you think we are missing?
We need someone who starts it. It's like all people like to follow. It's sad, but that's the case. People like to follow. So if the United States starts, I'm sure other countries will follow. I don't think we need more books. I think there are a lot of Bitcoin books now on the market. I'm so happy that a lot of Bitcoiners are sending me the books now. Sometimes more examples so that I can distribute it in the German Bundestag to my colleagues. That's pretty great. Every time I get some new books, I call some of my colleagues and said, "Hey, do you want something to read? I have some more books." But I think there are enough books there. I think what's important is that, like I said before, that people are starting to talk to politicians and to get involved and to build up a little bit of pressure on the MPs and tell them what's important. I mean, like the Italian Bitcoiners now, they have to get active. If they talk about a tax from 42%, that's totally crazy. They have to get active and build up some pressure that they stop doing that. They can go to their politicians and look what the United States are doing. You're doing the exact opposite. If you want to fall way behind the United States, continue the way. I mean, Meloni is good friends with Elon Musk. I think she should get it. So somebody just has to tell her. If normal people, if Bitcoiners don't tell the politicians what Bitcoin is about, how should they know? I'm a member of parliament for 7 years now, and every week we're sitting here in Berlin, and we have so many laws we are passing. We have so much to read. There is no way I can comprehend and I read everything I get on my table. I have to pick my topics, which I'm responsible for. So if my topic isn't the financial politics or anything, then of course I'm not interested in Bitcoin. I don't know anything about it. And when other people come to me and tell me, but hey, Bitcoin is important. Just look to this. Look at the mining, Bitcoin mining. Maybe it can help us with our energy crisis here in Germany. Look if it's possible to incorporate Bitcoin mining into the renewable energy politics we have now. Then especially the green politicians can wake up and say, wait, let's look into it. So you have to get active. You have to talk to politicians. I know that Bitcoin doesn't need politics, that politics needs Bitcoin or the politicians need Bitcoin. But politicians and the government can make it so hard and can make it nearly impossible to use Bitcoin. Of course, people like you, people like me, and all the nerds out there know how to use Bitcoin if the government bans it. Yeah, we say we don't care, we use it anyway. But the majority of the people, first of all, will have no idea. They will be afraid. So it can make governments can make it really hard to use Bitcoin, and they can stop the mass adoption we are looking for. So even if you say Bitcoin doesn't need politics, yeah, you're right, but they can make your life pretty hard. And don't think only about yourself, think about the people who are not that into technological or digitalization or into Bitcoin, and fight for them as well, that it's easy for them to use Bitcoin and not as hard and complicated when the government makes it that way.
It's a movement that has many, it's like a big giant octopus. There's many different hands going different places. And of course, Like you have to have someone fighting parliament. You have to have someone fighting for the right of self-custody. We need people like you fighting in parliament. We need parliament. We need people doing podcasts and books and all these things and fighting in different fronts. And then at some point it will become easier. I also think it's like a generational thing. All the people in command and people in control, not just in politics, but even in investing and money making, they belong to the old school, right? So they need to be washed out and the new generation has to come in. Because, of course, if you are someone like Warren Buffett, you will never get Bitcoin. It doesn't make
Mm.
sense. You've done one thing very successfully for your entire life. He's what, 19 years old? There is no way he's going to go, oh, Bitcoin, interesting. No, you will go through your system that you've done extensively over and over and over. But then when he will pass to a new generation, there's going to be someone a bit younger who goes, hey, wait, I think, I want to know what this is. I want to study it.
Not only with Bitcoin, it's at the moment, I think the time living in the European Union, it's crazy. And I see that with a lot of digital companies, of digital startups in Germany, with all the regulations. It's not only the taxes, but all the bureaucracy around it. They're leaving the country. I mean, I started, or I want to start a company now because I will be out of the parliament next year. And it took me nearly half a year to open up a business, to open a company in Germany. And I have to fill out so much paperwork. It's totally crazy. And I talked to a lot of people who created startups who said, okay, I'm leaving. I'm creating here an app, and I have to, there are so many regulations about this app. I can't do it. And Dubai just told me, come, if you want to try your app, just come. We build something for you that you can try it. That's why people are leaving. It's not only Bitcoin. It's all these future chances that the digitalization we have, Europe is working against. It's not, they don't see the chances we have with all these new things coming up. They always see the risk, the dangers, and how can we make more money out of it. And that's totally crazy. That's why we're losing the talents, especially from Germany, because everything is so expensive now, and the energy is so expensive that people are just saying, okay, I'm out of here. And to be honest, I don't know a single person in my circle who doesn't have a plan B where to go when Germany is failing completely. Yeah, they either say, okay, I'm leaving for Dubai, I'm leaving for El Salvador, or to Hungary or Bulgaria or Thailand. It's like we're out of here. And if you have Bitcoin, it's easy to leave. Yeah, you have your 12 or 24 words, and you're just out of here. Because in Germany, you also have, if you have a company and you want to leave Germany, you have to pay a fine tax, like what your company would be worth if you would sold it, and then you have to pay taxes for it to be allowed to move your company out of Germany. So that's totally crazy what they're doing right now. And I totally understand every young person who says, no, I'm out of here. I'm seeking my chances somewhere else, my adventures somewhere else. It's totally sad. I don't get it why politicians do that, instead of doing the opposite. I mean, just look at El Salvador, how many bright people are moving there now because they're opening up and saying, hey, you have every chance you want. If you come here, invest, do something, we will make it possible. I'm looking at Argentina now and what Milei is doing. If he's successful, I think a lot of European governments will be very worried if if Milei is a success story, because he's doing the complete opposite, just stripping the state, the government out of its power and giving the power back to the people. And it's amazing to watch his journey, and I'm crossing my fingers that he will be successful, because then he shows that there is another way. There is a way of freedom, giving back to the people the freedom, and taking, yeah, get rid of the government who is all around you and invades all your private lives. And it's unbelievable what is happening right now in Europe.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, Germany is one of the best, if not the best position in Europe, because if you think about how they call us pigs in Italy, Portugal, Italy, and so forth. I'm 50. I've spent 20 years in Italy, born and raised, but 30 years I've spent them abroad. So I don't even know what's happening in Italy anymore, but I know that it's not looking good. Like when I go back to see my mom and some probably old friends I have still there, I can see that it's not looking good. And I think, you now have the power to say to yourself, hey, I want to live where they treat me the best, and think about Dubai. We are celebrating 53 years old of age. Like, this city is older as basically as I am. And in 53 years, they managed to create something from the desert. And like you said, they just open to everyone, say, okay, you want to do crypto? Okay, no problems. As long as we are going to put some regulation in place, we're going to attract talent, attract money. Is Dubai perfect? No, of course, I'm not saying it's perfect. There is no such thing as perfect place, but at least they know how to attract talent. Whether on the contrary, I see Europe going completely in the opposite direction. And like you said, it will be interesting to see what will happen now that Trump is going to go back in power in January, and see if he's going to do really what he promised, like free Ross, fire Gensler, which apparently he resigned already, but whatever. And then if what he said is going to happen, well, then we might see something different, because if they start to acquire Bitcoin, I don't know what Europe is going to do. I don't know what Asia is going to do, but I don't think they're going to watch the US scooping up 1 million Bitcoin in 5 years.
I mean, you see China coming back now with Bitcoin. You see Russia being interested in Bitcoin. So they're waking up already. And yeah, I'm really curious what happens in the United States now with the Trump team. It's not only Trump. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of him personally. I think his speeches and it's like he's a little bit crazy. But the things he promises for America and his team, the people he will take with him into office, they are pretty amazing. And until now, I was thinking, okay, the Western world is declining. It's like all the big cultures we have, they have their ups and their downs, and we are right down now with all the Western countries we're living, because it doesn't matter to whom I speak. It is from people from England, from Italy, from the United States, from Australia. We all have the same problems. It's crazy. All over the Western world, we have the same problems. And now there is someone who's saying, okay, I'm taking up the fight. He's not a typical politician, and all the people he's taking with him, they are not typical politicians, and they are claiming to fight the things in the politics which brought us down. If they keep their promises, it will be very interesting to watch, and hopefully it will have an impact on all the other Western countries. If they fail, they fail. But then the whole Western world will fail with them, because at the moment, I don't see any positive things coming out of our Western countries. We are failing. We're failing with freedom. We're failing with sovereignty. We're failing with keeping the peace. We're failing with everything, with money. It's totally crazy. And a lot of people see that we have problems, and somehow we can't change it. Somehow, I mean, we have an election coming up now in Germany. Being in parliament for 7 years, watching all these parties for 7 years, what they did being in the opposition and what they did now being in the government and being responsible, nobody keeps their promises. Politicians are lying when they're opening their mouths, and people are still going to vote for the same people, think there will be a different outcome. There won't be a different outcome. Doesn't matter which party rules Germany. It will always be the same, because the system is corrupt. The system is broken, and we have to fix the system. And somehow nobody knows how to do it. If Trump knows how to do it, it will be fascinating to watch. I think Milei knows what he's doing, and where there's possibility to fix the system. But most of the European countries or the Western countries don't get it yet. So exciting times, difficult times. We'll see where we're going.
I agree. I would love to have you back maybe in a few months and see if by then we could maybe see some of the changes already happening in the US. And then, of course, I believe it could be carried over in Europe and maybe somewhere else. But thank you, Joana. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
And guys, thank you so much. As always, in the description, I will leave Joana's Twitter account. You must follow. It's one of my absolute favorite. I aggressively follow you on Twitter. So thank you so much for everything that you post out there. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.